Hello, you're listening to the Neil Lampton Show. My name's Joey, and I'm joined by Paul.
Right, mate.
And by Neil.
Hi.
Do we have any moments of the week this week?
You bet, Joey Crone.
How big can we go on this? Is it the best individual COV game in... where does it rank? I think it's the best game I've ever been to for overall drama and enjoyment. It tops pretty much anything for me.
Yep, mate. Right up there. That's the one for me. And I think I've learned something this week. And it's that I need to stop being a snob about how things make you feel at football matches. If you are at a football match and it makes you feel good, and that moment, regardless of what competition it is or anything or what level it is, if it makes you feel good, that's all that matters. And I don't care if that's League Two and people are going to be snobby about it elsewhere. That match, those goals, okay, now they meant so much to me. It was fantastic.
I can't imagine how the game could have unfolded that would have provided more drama and yet like that positive an outcome. Because to go the 2 goals ahead and then to come so close to throwing it away and throwing it in a way, actually in a way that really it kind of did happen, didn't it? Because their goal was clearly onside.
We can laugh now.
Yeah, throwing it away sounds a bit harsh,
No, I'm not what's it, but I don't mean that harshly on the players or anything. I just mean literally that the 2 goals would have gone because they did lay waste to our goal, didn't they? And I think they almost did it. But then the fact that we scored the 3rd and then the 4th to be scored by Tom Bayliss in the way that he did, you couldn't have... Almost the way that they nearly got back into the game made the victory all that more sweeter, that we'd like ridden the storm and then came out and just finished the job off. It was beautiful. Let's stop me bambling on. There we go. And let's actually do moments of the week. Paul, why don't you start?
Well, in a queer way, my moment of the week, because obviously we'll get onto everything later, so we'll do it in sort of the order. My moment of the week was Exeter beating Lincoln. And it meant that we went into the game on Friday with every other team who'd played in the away leg second losing. And it was just at that point you thought, we're going to win this. In that one of those queer quirks of fate, we're going to be the one who buck the trend. And it sort of gave you that. I said this to you just before I think on the way down. It's like the fact that Exeter won that game gave me a little sort of bit of confidence.
We talked about it, didn't we? It's called the gambler's fallacy. That if you flip a coin 3 times and it comes up tails 3 times, the thing is to assume that the next one has a high chance of being heads because it hasn't come up already. And obviously that doesn't... the previous flips...
It's still 50-50, yeah.
Yeah, the previous flips have no bearing on it. But I felt exactly the same. I was like, well, there's no way that all of the home teams can go through. It doesn't work like... Maths doesn't work like that. So clearly we have to go through.
Yeah. It's just like that. It's just not going to happen like that. So, therefore, we will win. And, you know, it was just me and you had sort of the journey... it took us about 4 hours to get down there. Thanks, no help from a certain family member whose name will go unmentioned. So we got down there. So we were meant to get down there about 5 and have a sort of bit of food and actually sort of get ready for the game. And we got down there at 7 when everyone was just charging to the game. And
that kind of helped your nerves.
No.
I think that in a weird... I think I was less nervous than Joey was, and sort of quite a few other people, because it was almost like...
To be fair, I believe you.
I had a sneaky feeling about that team. And I had a sneaky feeling about Notts County as well. I know we discussed this stuff. I thought we couldn't play as badly as we had the week before. I know everyone else thought we played really well. I thought that we weren't going to be... I thought we were going to turn up. And I sort of posted before, I didn't want us to score too early, because that makes you nervous. But when Biami scored, you just knew that team were ready for that moment. They were a team that were prepared, and so we'll get on to it. But I know Joey's been a big one on this. Like you don't really know what sort of team we were, but after about 20 minutes of that game, you were like, oh, okay, they're doing this today. They're playing this way. They're doing these things, and it all just looked like it was gonna. They were gonna win on Friday night. Basically, after about 10 minutes, you just got that feeling.
Neil, your moment of the week?
obviously there are a bunch of game-related moments, and I think we're going to talk about the game and get all excited about it again. So I'm going to pretend that those goals didn't happen for a minute. And my actual moment of the week came yesterday when I followed Mark McNulty, Tom Davis, and Jack Grimmer down the parade in Leamington for a significant amount of time, very close to them, and just watched them from kind of from 10 meters walk into an ice cream shop. And I realised just like within the space of 9 months, they've gone from people I kind of know to proper heroes of mine.
Yeah.
So it's a bit strange. Football does that to you. But no, that was fun. And obviously we saw the shenanigans that they got up to yesterday on the boat and stuff. And I I tried to create the illusion amongst friends that I was actually with them by sending photos around of me from taking photos of them from 10 yards away and then on the boat. No one fell for it, unfortunately. But no, that was my moment of the week. Just having like sort of revered them so much over this weekend and kind of loved them so much to then come out of a shop in Leamington, turn to my right and suddenly see those three walk in front of me. I didn't quite have it in me to pounce on them, but I still felt good about it.
Just as an extension of that, because you mentioned his name, can we talk about Tom Davis for a second?
Let's do it. Yeah, he's a funny guy, isn't he?
I'm going to go for idiosyncratic, perhaps.
Maybe.
We have good reason to believe that he's behind all of these parody accounts now.
Yes.
Which is... I mean, I spent... As soon as... I thought it was strange. I'd looked through them and saw that he'd interacted with a couple of them quite frequently. Then I tweeted to say, it's not Tom Davis, is it? And then somebody got in touch with me and said, yeah, it is Tom Davis. We were told at an event by either Doyle or McNulty or both. And I was like,
The best part of this is the argument that you had with one of them a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Months ago.
What's it?
Extended argument. That's
yeah,
brilliant.
and this is why I struggled to believe that it really is him, because he was like, oh, I listened to the show, I like it. And I was yeah, I just can't see...
Hello, Tom Davis.
Yeah. Let's be clear about this. I've got great love for him, and I think he's played well when he's coming for us this season. But what a maniac if that's true. And even if that's not true... The jumping off the boat and the antics and stuff. He's, I mean, not a typical footballer, but
maniac / genius.
Yeah.
I would suggest some of that. The insight is incredible. He really does spot some stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm gonna be really, really obvious, I think, and I've got to say that my moment of the week was all 4 goals. Because it was like a weird sort of greatest hits compilation of this season's goals. You had the Biamu bicycle kick, the second goal, which wasn't a million miles away in tone from that goal that I keep banging on about against Grimsby. And I know that we'll come on to it, but just to talk about it for a second, the work that McNulty does the pass to find McNulty is incredible, and then the work that McNulty does to create the kind of momentum and space before passing the ball, and then just. The whole thing of it was it was really, really good. And I think there's a level to which Notts County would look at how easily they were cut open. But there is also a level that just that level of incision when counter-attacking, that's why teams do it, isn't it? Because it's so quick and such a nightmare to defend against. Then, of course, Biamu, who I was like, oh, he's taken way too many... actually, no, he's not. Yeah, he's taken the exact perfect amount of touches. And then to finish it like that because it was already... I think the third goal had killed them so heavily that the atmosphere in the crowd was already really good because it felt like we'd kind of done it. And then for the fourth, as an icing on the cake, just to see Bayliss, he started that run pretty much in the centre circle, and then just backed off, and you just thought, you've not watched this happen before.
The best part of that, though, was because it looked like it was such a pure strike, and you're like, what has he just done here to finish it off? He's just shown himself, because he had already set up 2 goals, pretty much, and then he finished it off like that. Obviously, it took a deflection, which kind of changes your perspective of the goal in itself, but in that moment, him striding on forwards with all that, I was watching this from home, so I kind of got the benefit of the Sky commentators, and they were loving him all game long, and they're saying this, he loves to do this, he loves to run at them, and he's put it away, and it was fantastic. What a way to round off.
I never think that and I know that this is possibly sort of counterintuitive. I never think the deflection takes anything off the goal, and I think that it's this. I can't remember who it was, the striker, that said that whenever he was close to the keeper, he would aim to hit the keeper's legs because he said that at point blank range, the likelihood is that you won't do it. Like you'll miss slightly, but that it's so close to the goal that that it'll go past him because it's fine margins or whatever else. And it's Frank Lampard used to do it all the time, didn't he? It was deflected goals. But I think it's about if you hit it well enough and it's on target, actually a deflection's probably the best thing you can hope for because
handy, isn't it?
Yeah, because it'll wrong foot the keeper or it'll to change the flight of the ball, but it'll do so in such a position that's so close to the goal. There's a really high likelihood of it bouncing in. I don't think it takes anything off. I just think that the thing is about driving forward and having meaningful shots on target is like a really underrated commodity in which that's the only purpose of the game.
And he's so bloody good at it.
Oh, he's so good at it. I thought overall he had a reasonably quiet game, and then just in the last 10 minutes he's like, nah, fuck you, I'm doing this. This is what I do. Paul, where do you... I mean, I know we've already started, but where do you start?
As always, you start at the start. And for us, we've discussed it, having sort of the discussion last week about what formation we played. We clearly played 4-4-2 on Friday night.
This was Mike Bassett 4-4-2, wasn't it? This was good old up and atom 4-4-2.
Well, it was basically he put Biamu very close to McNulty, and for the entire game, if you take two, I know we sort of have this bit of thing that we play better football than Notts County. On Friday, we played a lot of long balls. There's no denying that Dominic Hine played a lot of long balls. The difference between us and Notts County was Biami won 80-90% of his headers, and not only did he win his headers, we got on the second ball through McNulty or other players. But basically, Notts County, because of the way we played in the last game, left him very much one-on-one. What we did is we put Liam Kelly directly in front of John Stead. John Stead never went for a header where he wasn't surrounded by Cov players. So even if he did win the header, which didn't happen that often, we picked up the second ball, and Notts County couldn't get a foothold into the game. We stopped them doing what they were good at, which is basically hitting balls to John Stead, and we nullified that tactic. And Notts County couldn't quite cope with that. They couldn't work out how to play a different way. They couldn't work out, well, if we're not playing to John Stead, then what do we do? But one of the other things we discussed last week was trying to get better balls into the box, and in the 8th minute, Jordan Shipley tried a very early cross that got deflected for the corner. And what was good about it, it was blocked as a cross, but what it showed intent. It showed if we were going to have time and space, we were going to put the ball into the box. We weren't going to overplay it like we had the previous Saturday. We were going to try and make things happen. And then Kelly put in the ball. I think we've all been a bit critical of Kelly's crossing, but from that set piece, he put it right into the position where you want it to be. Notts County couldn't quite clear their lines. Jordan Willis kept the ball alive, and then Biamu does what Biamu does best, which is the Biamu kick, or as people used to call it, the bicycle kick. And you watch it, and he must have known that he couldn't overhead kick it behind him because that's where the players were. He had to angle it slightly into the corner. And as I said earlier, once that went in, obviously I've still got the scar on my leg to show for it. Everyone went mental. And at that point, you're also like, oh, okay, the fans, everyone's behind us. It broke the tension in the fans because everyone's aware that once we take the lead, we don't tend to lose, or we haven't lost all season. And we also knew that we can beat this Notts County team. This Notts County team isn't to be feared. And then we sort of grew into the game. Liam Kelly was magnificent. There's no credit I can give that guy more than just saying he was man of the match. I thought his work rate, his ethics, his desire to not just get involved but actually try and make things happen. Was. And then you watch the second goal, and I understand where Joey's coming from. It counter-attacking, but the desire from Kelly, because we clear our lines. I think the only player in their half when the ball goes to McNulty is McNulty, who does brilliantly to bring the ball under control and quickly start running forward. he doesn't wait around. He starts moving that forward momentum, and then Bayliss is alongside him, and then you see Kelly's just bombing forward. And it's one of those, we'll big him up because we all think he's brilliant. Bayliss' pull to Kelly is inch perfect. It's outside the boot. And all Kelly has to do then is basically look at his options. The ball isn't going to run out of play. And he looks up. McNulty's drifted slightly back towards the penalty spot. He pulls the ball back, and then you're 2-0 up. And at that point, we were well worthy of the lead. We were clearly stopping Notts County what Notts County were trying to do. We were enforcing our own style of play. Biamu and McNulty up front were working as a proper strike partnership, and they were making it extremely difficult for Notts County. The midfield were all doing their jobs. Sort of agree with what Joe said earlier. Bayliss wasn't particularly flashy, but he was solid. The midfield were a proper four. They were a line of four. They were moving forward and backwards as a unit. For the first time in a while, we looked like a cohesive unit. And it was just like, okay, how are we going to get in the rest of this half? Not that I can remember us. Problem is, all I can remember now, the problem is you watch the highlights, and the highlights get ingrained in your brain. I can't really remember us having many more chances, like clear-cut chances.
We did.
As I said, I honestly can't remember. Because, to me, it's just sort of, because we were 2-0 up, sort of I think sometimes, because when you're at the game, sometimes the game carries you on, the atmosphere around you, and it's harder to actually sort of analyse what's going on in those sort of games because you just swept along with it. So it felt like we're on top, but I can't. But as I say, I can't remember. I mean, you can obviously point out the chances that I can't remember up till half time.
And the only reason I can remember them is because there's actually a really good video on YouTube. So because it was on Sky, we've only got like the minimal highlights. So all we see is these highlights, which we've all seen about 100 times before. And they are really sort of key moments condensed into 2 minutes. Someone in the crowd filmed what seemed to be the entire match and then put out some highlights. So basically showed every single chance. And that's a really good video. I might post it on my Twitter after this. But it shows all of the things that you forget that we had. So it shows the amount of times that McNulty managed to turn his defender and have a shot on goal. It showed Jordan Shipley's great turn in the box and moved on to his right foot, which they saved, and that could have taken us to 2-0. So there's a bunch of stuff. No, I'm completely with you in terms of when I watch the highlights, I just all you remember are those things. But then I stumbled across this video, well worth having to watch just to remind yourself just how dominant we were in that first half.
I mean, I think that's the other thing is, you're sort of used to Coventry this season having 4 or 5 chances in the game. And because we scored 4 very different but all really good goals, your brain isn't sort of almost like you can't focus on the other chances because your brain's sort of forgotten them. Cause it's like, well, I don't need to remember that because it's sort of inconsequential. And then basically you got to about 3-4 minutes before half time, and I'm sure everyone in the crowd went to the person who stood next to him and goes, let's just get through to half-time 2-0 up. And then they got a throw in. They threw it in. I know some people have said that it was a foul on Grimmer. For me, Grimmer's got just as much as Stead's shirt as Stead's got of his. It's one of those ones, and the guy tucks it into the corner. It's the sort of goal that Notts County score. I don't think it is a foul. It's just these things happen. And then, was it just after that you had the McNulty and their lad?
Yeah.
What happened? I mean, I've only really seen it. There's a very short clip I've just seen on Twitter where basically their guy runs past McNulty, and they both sort of look like they go at each other because the guy sort of run past him. It's like, why is he then turn around to McNulty? And then they sort of butt heads in that sort of. And the only thing going through my head, everyone was like, send him off. And it's like, just don't send McNulty off. If you send their player off, you've got to send McNulty off. I'm prepared for you not to send their player off, so we have McNulty at Wembley.
With the commentary, actually, because so giving you the obviously the multiple replays that they show on Sky. So what happened was it was just a coming together. Nothing, they went to McNulty as he ran past gave him a tiny sort of shove, just kind of one that you'd see all the time. And this guy, obviously being wound up because his team were 2-0 down, had a huge overreaction to that. Started thrusting his head into McNulty, and at that point McNulty, I think there was a moment where he thought maybe I'll get involved in this, and then he realised actually I can take the high ground here, and was basically just smirking in his face, making things worse. But like you say, because he was involved in that moment, there was a risk then that he gets sent off as well, and I think I was doing a bit of lip reading, like you do, of the linesman, and I think he wanted to send someone off. He mentioned about a red, and then it was the referee who actually decided, look, this is probably not a good idea to send people off here. So he didn't in the end. And like you say, we did get a little bit fortunate, not because I thought McNulty deserved to get sent off, just because of the situation. Referees don't often kind of pick one over the other. If they see two people's like button heads together, they'll kind of punish them both. I mean, the funny part of that was Tom Bayliss getting involved. If you get a chance to see that replay again, old 18-year-old Tom Bayliss come flying in, pushing everybody in sight, and then not following up on it was quite funny. So that's worth a look as well. And
then at half time, and you basically, again, I'm sure everyone had this discussion, is Kevin Nolan's going to get him rolled up for the second half. There's going to be 10, 15 minutes of them pummeling us. If we ride that through, we'll be fine. And we did. I mean, again, another player who seems to get a lot of unfair stick, who was magnificent on Friday, is Lee Burge. And not just because of the save from John Stead, which was a really good save, but if he came, he made a decision and he stuck to it. So if he came to catch it, he caught it. If he came to punch it, he didn't just punch it, he got rid. And he just made sure that they didn't get multiple chances against us. We managed to clear our lines, or he cleared our lines, or stop the attack at the first possible opportunity. And that really sort of helped the rest of the defence settle. I mean, Dominic Hyam was as good as I've seen him play. He won everything that went around him. Jordan Willis was the defender you'd sort of hope that Jordan Willis could be, where he was even bringing the ball out of defence and just taking time and killing momentum by using his pace as a sort of attacking attribute as well. He just took a couple of steps and took players out of the game. And we were like, if you did that every week, you wouldn't be in League Two, because you've shown in this one game that you can be better than this, but you need to be doing that week in, week out. So they were really solid. And then let's be honest, if we were Notts County fans doing the last two podcasts, obviously we'd be very disappointed about the fact we hadn't won, but we'd have spent a lot of time talking about our penalty in the first one and what should have been the equaliser in this one. It was a legitimate goal. They got it back to 2-2, and we got very lucky. And I know people are going, but we won 4-1 anyway. But we scored the next two goals after this. But that equaliser, the way they were building momentum, would have been a game changer. It would have been it works both ways sometimes. You see it a lot where teams get it back to 2-2. I think Wycombe did it against us earlier this season. You get it back to 2-2, and then suddenly you're like, okay, now what do we do? Because you sort of achieved your aim, which was to get it back to 2-2. So I'm not saying that Notts County would have definitely gone on to win, but it would have been massive. That was a massive turning point.
Do you want a comparable match? The one that I keep thinking about when I think about that moment? The old Frank Lampard goal in the World Cup against Germany, which would have taken it back to 2-2.
Yeah.
And there's two schools of thoughts here, which one is 2-2, we would have then had the momentum, we could have gone on. And then there's a lot of people looking at it and thinking, well, actually, Germany was still a better team. They just went on and kind of sorted it out in the end anyway. And that's kind of that. I know the scores were pretty much the same. They were the same, weren't they? But that's the one that's kind of very similar, where you don't quite know how they're going to go, but there's nothing to say that scoring that goal to get back to 2-2 could have really flipped momentum. And the way it was looking, that's probably the more likely scenario.
And I mean, it brought Notts County's crowd more into it. There was definitely more. Virtually every time during the entire up until we went 3-1 up, when it was 1-0 or even 2-0, when they had a set piece, there was definitely a hush amongst the Cov fans, because we knew that that's where they had their strengths. If they'd have got it back to 2-2, it would have, it changes everything within the ground. It changes everyone's thought process. It changes Robbins' thought process about how we're going to go on to do this, how we're going to get. And to be fair, just before we scored the third, Johnson Clark Harris was on the touch line. Then Bayliss played another ball the outside his right foot. Was Biamu offside? It's touch and go. And then he played to McNulty. Was McNulty offside? It's touch and go. Went back to Biamu. Biamu sort of did a little bit of dancing feet, and then slotted it into the corner. And again, it went. We've discussed this a couple of times because we're all big Simpsons fans. It's that moment when Lisa basically tells Ralph Wiggum that she doesn't love him, and you see his heart break.
Yeah.
And you just look at a couple of Swindon players, and that was it.
Notts County.
Yeah, sorry, not County players. Not all of them, but enough.
They realised.
Yeah, and the reason I said Swindon because it was like that earlier this season where Swindon got it back to 2-1. They were probably on top when we got our third, and you could just see that's it. You're not coming back from 3-1.
Yeah. I just want to quickly pick up on the idea of fortune, and because let's not beat around the bush. They scored a goal that was ruled offside. We scored a goal that could have been ruled offside, and in the first leg we were given what is one of the worst penalty decisions I've ever seen. But I don't know if you've listened to the Guardian Football Weekly podcast this week. Is somebody basically made that same point, and Barry Glendenning, who was on that podcast, cut in and said, yeah, but to be fair, if there's a club that could do with a bit of luck after the last 10, 20 years that they've had, do you not think Coventry deserve it a bit? And I was a bit like, well, yeah. Like
a little bit, yeah.
I know that there's no cosmic justice or anything, but I kind of think that sometimes it doesn't go your way. And we've had games where if you think about the game that everyone had used as the reference point for this two-legged tie was the Crewe game, and that we'd been on massively on top, and we just conceded the 3 shots that they had, and you think, oh fucking hell! And it's not, it's not quite exactly the same. But football is interesting because there's that element of drama, and it doesn't always go the way that it's meant to. And I know that if we'd be fuming the other way around, but we have been fuming where it's gone the other way around, and I still think that ultimately, one, yes, we had some fortune. But we also scored 5 goals across the 2 games. And in the second game, we were unequivocally the better side. Massively the better side for probably 80 minutes of the game. And the first leg of it, you can now, with the benefit of having won on aggregate 5-2, can write off because of the pitch.
Well, I think there's also a certain amount of... accept it. Accept the fact we got lucky. And almost sort of, as I said, I've seen those people going, yeah, but Grimmer was fouled for their goal.
Don't matter.
He wasn't. It wasn't. It was just 2 players doing what players do in the box for those sort of things. Don't go, oh, yeah, but this should have happened. Just basically accept the fact we got a bit of luck. Because, as you say, basically there are times when you will get luck. Things do, over a season, they sort of do even themselves out. You get those, there's a amount of times you're like, oh, this guy's, as you say, sort of, just accept it. Just sort of, we didn't cheat. We didn't do anything wrong. It's not like Bayliss died for the penalty. Bayliss was tackled, but he didn't cheat. We were given a penalty. It's not our fault the referee gave indecisions in our favour. Those things do happen in football. There's no massive... Seen people sort of massive conspiracy theories.
Have you seen some of the tweets?
Yeah, it's like people want us to get out of League Two. And it's like, well, if you think about it, to some extent, we're the biggest club in League Two. Surely it'd be better for the Football League if they had a big club like Coventry in League Two, because it's better for their brand.
Yeah.
Also, someone's like, Biamu's like a dangerous overhead kick. It's like, oh, just fuck off.
Nobody. It's ridiculous.
Just stop clutching at straws. It's just like at the end of the day, we played well in the second leg. We got that little bit of luck. There's no denying that it should have been 2-2, but it wasn't. Notts County didn't go and score a second. We went and scored the third, and we then dominated that game. And then Bayliss scored the fourth. With, whatever happens, I think Bayliss' last game for us will be at Wembley. I can't see how anyone's watched those 2 games and could not think he should be playing at League's Championship level, because he's just, even when he was, he was basically not really involved. Yet he was majorly involved for 3 goals.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. It's that cutting edge. It's, again, as I said before, so people go, oh, we've had, people talking about, we deserve the luck in the games because we lost our best 2 players to injury. But also, I think, that's what happens in seasons. You get injuries, and then you hope that the players you sign or the players who come from your academy step up. And Shipley and Bayliss have stepped up this season.
My God,
and they were both
stepped up.
brilliant in that game.
Yeah. I mean, it was a strange one in that if you trying to pick out like a legit man of the match is absolutely impossible, because if you think about pretty much every single player, there's a really legitimate reason why you could put them as being. I thought players that we haven't talked about so far, I think Tom Davies is obviously chief football header number one, right? But Dominic Hotham just took everything out of the air. And against a team that, we haven't even talked about Kevin Nolan's post-match press conference, where he said that because of the way that the game panned out, they were forced to put long balls into the box. You absolute waste, man. Yeah, you'd got no intention of doing that, had you? Yeah, anyway, we dealt with everything in the air. Hyam was fantastic. But Jordan Willis, the amount of times that he was able to bring the ball down and take a few extra touches and was composed enough to bring the ball forward a little bit and buy us a bit of time and then play accurate passes, which is something that we've been really critical of him over this season. I thought he was really fantastic. I thought he calmed us down over and over again and just used the ball really effectively and defended everything really well. I thought the way that he took up positions with Kelly around Hyam was just so smart. We really handled it properly. I thought Liam Kelly had his best game for... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I'm going to say about Willis. I mean, and that was the performance that we were talking about last week. So when we were trying to work out who was going to come in, the reason we were saying Willis was because he can put in those dominant performances. I mean, although Doyle's captain, an absolute captain-worthy performance, that, again, in defence, was Jordan Willis at his best. Just dominating, proving why he is rated the way he is, because when he performs in that way, with his athleticism and his reading of the game, he's top quality. He really is a very good defender.
I thought Liam Kelly had the best game he's had for us, and it goes back again that we've talked about a few times this season. When he takes the aggression to the other team rather than letting them come to him, he's such a good player. And that time and time again, there were 50-50 balls or 40-60 in their favour, if that's not the wrong way round, where he was just forcing it out of them just by being on them like a rash. Mm-hmm. There's been times where I've been like, I'm not sure I get what he does. But then when he plays like that with such fire, you just think, oh God, you're way better than this. If you could do that all the time, you're so much better than this level, like way better than this level. Because just they couldn't settle at all. But then
you just wonder where that spark comes from. I mean, if you can just figure out how do they get that spark to make them play like that? Because in certain games they're not playing like that. But there was something the other night where Liam Kelly was just in a sort of a possessed mode.
Maniac, yeah.
Yeah, and that's brilliant.
But I think a lot of credit's got to go to Mark Robbins and his backroom staff, because we had a week to prepare for that game. But if you watch both teams, you were like, we have set up to beat that Notts County side.
Yeah.
It was very much tactics and organisation to beat that Notts County side. And that Notts County side, to some extent, was probably the advantage to sort of not playing particularly well in the first, or brilliant in the first leg, is it made us look, okay, how do we get at them? How do we beat them? And Notts County, I think, came into it very arrogantly in a sort of, we can just do this. And as I said, you could see that the balls to Stead weren't working, and they didn't have a plan B. They didn't try and work out a different way of getting into the game. And I think one point they had a free kick, free kick in our half. And then within 5 passes, they were back to Richard Duffy at centre half to lump it forward. And you were like, you were in such a better position 5 passes ago, but you've almost this is what you do. You go back to one player who punts it forward. Why are you doing this? Because we've dealt with this. We've dealt with this all game. We're easily dealing with this. Why are you not trying plan B or plan C?
They came into it. It looked like they came into it really complacent. That they'd kind of gone, we're at home, we've got a great home record, and we've got the result that we've wanted there. All we need to do is just come out here and finish the job. And that early goal just rattled them hard, didn't it? Because they, like you say, I don't think they didn't have a plan B. and it forced them to come out a little bit, and we just murdered them for space in their half. They came back without like a proper plan of how to attack us, and you could just see, I mean, the second goal especially, the gaps in there. We've played them 3 times recently, and the 2 previous games, they don't leave those gaps, do they? It just didn't. It's not what they do. But they were so rattled, I think, and so devoid of a plan for going behind, that we were just able then just to pick them off. And unfortunate, and this is the thing that drives me mad a little bit about this season, is that they played exactly like I want them to play. Outside of possibly switching, and this is only a minute point in retrospect, but possibly switching Kelly and Bayliss around, but that 4-4-2 with McNulty and Biamu up front together and playing close to each other and hitting on the break is unequivocally where we've looked best this season. It just is. And I think that it was so pleasing to see us look so purposeful and so like we knew what we were doing, and that they played so heavily into our hands by coming back out that little bit, because just time and time again, Shipley's got the quality to play a pass that unlocks them. Kelly has. Doyle did. Doyle was great again. It's another one where you just think, oh God, it's so good to have Doyle back.
It's been so worthwhile, hasn't it? For everything, not just because he plays a lot of the time just okay. There's no sort of spectacular thing, but there's something about him as a person and the way he kind of rallies everybody around him. So even when he's giving the ball away, a lot of the time, he's still forcing absolute quality from everybody else. And the idea that he could potentially get promoted 2 years in a row from that league, fantastic. Obviously we're all praying that we go up, but I'm also praying that if we go up, we continue playing Doyle next year. He's got another year left in him.
The thing with Doyle as well, again on Friday, is absolutely Teflon for red cards. Because again,
he's a lucky fucker, isn't he?
Oh God.
What has he done that has meant? How is he going to go this entire season without getting sent off?
14 yellows.
He full out boots someone every single game. It's become like his trademark this season. It's to like karate kick someone at least once a game, and every time you're like, somebody's got to send him off, and it's like, you better not do that again. You're like, how has nobody got wise to what's going on here? He's just going around booting people.
The funniest part of that was, I've been doing a lot of lip reading this week, I think, but afterwards when he looked at Kevin Nolan and he goes, fat fucking prick. I was like, that's fucking brilliant. Shouted that at Kevin Nolan, which everybody had noticed just how much weight that man has put on in 12 months.
Yeah.
And the fact that Doyle was straight in there with his comments about it. Oh, brilliant.
He's an absolute menace, isn't he? But for years, outside of Vincelo, we've not had someone that's just an absolute lunatic running around the middle like that. And it's brilliant to see, isn't it?
I've often said that when we had Doyle, it was like we haven't had anyone like Doyle, and now it's like literally it's like we've had one season of Vincelo, but between Doyle and Doyle, we missed Doyle.
Yeah,
and it's just like you can go back literally and it's different qualities of Doyle, but Roy Keane was basically the most Doyle-like Doyle you could get. Yeah. But that's what Patrick Vieira did and you go back to the Liverpool teams of the 80s, they had a Doyle-type player. Like, in the early years of the Premier League, David Batty was the Doyle-type player. You need someone in there who's basically just horrible to play against. And the fact with Doyle, he just sets the tone for the rest of the team. But, I mean, before we got on to like, the after-game sort of enjoyment, the start of the season, I said I probably wouldn't like Biamu. And the way that guy has developed his game, developed his... And it's not just his game, it's his personality on the pitch. When we first saw him, he was timid, he looked lazy,
I thought he looked lazy.
He didn't look interested.
Yeah.
And then you watch him, and over the season, he's obviously got fitter as he's playing professional football, training day in, day out. He's obviously learning lots because like the way he takes the ball has changed, the way he does things has changed. I still think the way that we play him has changed as the season's gone on. We're a lot happier to try and hit the ball long. We do hit the ball a lot longer now. But he is the sort of player you want to bring in. That's the dream signing, isn't it, from non-league football, is someone who basically gets better and better and better, and you can see that he's learning. And for all accounts, apparently he's lovely off the pitch as well, which makes you sort of fall for him a little bit more. But for him to score that overhead kick and then nearly be subbed off and score the killer goal, and basically it's like, I'm starting at Wembley. You can't not start me at Wembley. I am.
It would be the biggest injustice in the history of the world.
Yeah, and he is. I still think McNulty's been at his absolute best when he's been alongside Biamou, because playing alongside Biamou for someone like McNulty must make life a lot easier. And as you said earlier, there are many people who he got the Sky's man of the match, but I think even if he hadn't scored either goal, you'd have been very pushed to find anyone else who was as deserving as he was. Apart from obviously Liam Kelly, who deserved it more than anyone.
Like you say, I think and McNulty was brilliant as well. But in a game that at times really needed it, the ability for us to find him and for it to stick to him and be so smart holding it up, holding the ball up is such an underrated skill. I know that's like probably a really daft thing to say. But it's a really thankless task, and it's really unshowy. So there's no one. It's not a clappable, thing, is it? But it's just tough. And to drag a team back into a game through doing it, he must have done it 50 times over the course of that game. I just think I really, really think, and this is amazing to me. I think when McNulty joined, because me and Paul are so contrary, we don't like hearing people that have never watched him play tell us how he's going to score 50 goals. Then he started the season and he started really slowly. And of course, I was all like, I don't know. And now he has shut me up royally. And I'm delighted by it. Biamou, when I saw him at the start of the season, I was like, I just don't know what's going on here. Now, I'm absolutely thinking that if we're in League One next season, if there's one area that you don't tamper with whatsoever, you start them two in League One. I just think more than anything that both of them, and I don't know whether football or life really works like this, but they deserve the chance if we go up, don't they?
And tell me that this, especially Biamou, that's not just symptomatic of that man now believing how good he is. You said, he was timid. He came from non-league. You can guarantee there was an element of apprehension there about his play. He wasn't quite sure whether he was up to it or not, and it just seemed to be that way. But after a couple of goals and scoring, I think it must have been that goal against Swindon, which set him off on his way. And now he's doing all of this stuff. He's trying all these things. And because he's got so much conviction in himself, he's pulling it all off. I mean, what maniac scores 2 overhead kick goals in a season? I mean, what the hell is he doing?
Weeks
it's
apart.
Insane. Exactly, weeks apart. It's just stupid. I mean, you barely see anybody try them. I mean, he's just doing it twice. I mean, it's just dream stuff for the man. And like you say, this is the catalyst. It's now him just realising this is how I can perform. And there's no reason why he can't now continue this level of performance for the rest of his career, because that's his standard now. This is him playing well, and he knows he's now capable. There's no doubt there.
That overhead kick, by the way, let's just go into this for a second, right? We could be here all night with this, so we might want to think about time. That overhead kick is, technique-wise, is astonishing for a start. But it's the one bit that I've watched more than anything else, because I just think there's such an artistry to it, is that there's one thing to kind of, technique-wise, no matter how it goes in, it's amazing. But that typically you'd imagine that what you would go for is something where you kind of fall backwards and you're aiming to try and kick it the way that you're falling, so that it's all fairly straight. But he hasn't got that option because there's defenders directly in front of him. He has to angle it into the top corner. And he does. It has to hit like the outside of his boot, like go past 2 defenders and go into the top corner. It's, even if that had have been just a shot from the floor with him stood up, it would have been like an amazing finish.
Yeah.
But like a bicycle kick that he's like, I'm going to have to bicycle kick this into the top corner. You'd be like, well, nobody expects you to do that. He's like, don't worry about it, I've got it. You're like, oh.
I've got this, lads.
Imagine if he'd have scored like one back in October, he'd have like 80 goals by now. Yeah, I just think it was just so joyous. And I just think I just didn't think that we'd played well at all in the previous leg, and it was really hard trying to reconcile how much did the pitch affect it? How much is it that we're a bit of a mad team? And then to play the way that we did in that game. Paul, we talked about this a few weeks ago about after beating Thingy Dobbs 6-1, and I was saying actually that is, people will look at that and think shit. I'm absolutely convinced that Exeter would have watched that game and been like, fuck, we've got to seriously think about how they play. Which in a weird way, I guess, is like a sort of a hindrance, but it means that they have to sacrifice an element of their own attacking play, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know, because in the same thing, some of us said that Lincoln were probably the hardest team in the playoffs. Exeter have gone and beaten them 3-1. I'd have rather played
the hardest team
than Lincoln. Out. So, to some extent, out of all of it, I mean, obviously the football club's different. Out of the fans, who actually cares about Exeter? I haven't had anyone go, "Oh, Exeter beat Lincoln 3-1. I'm shit scared of Exeter." And I'd be surprised if Mark Robbins has looked to that, or any of the players have looked to that and gone, "Well, actually, we're worried about that now." I think when it comes to a final, I think you put that all behind you. I don't think Exeter would be any more worried about us if we'd have snuck through 1-0 or 1-4-1, in the same way that we're not worried about the fact that Exeter won 3-1 if they'd have snuck through 1-0. I think now it's basically, to some extent, both teams are going into it exactly how they'd want to, on top form. I think it should be probably one of the better games in the playoff finals. It probably should be one of the better games that has been at Wembley for a while, because you've got two teams who will go out there and try and win and play football in the sort of the relatively right way. So, but I don't think Exeter, I wouldn't have thought Peel-Dillsdale gives a crap if we won 4-1 or 1-0, in the same way I'm sure Mark Robinson doesn't give a crap that Exeter won 3-1.
Well, let's, on the subject of Exeter, let's cut to Dominic to do his Exeter preview, and then we will come back, wrap up any final Notts County thoughts, have a look at some listener questions, and then go merrily to bed. Here's Dominic. Hi, Dominic. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, good to be on the show as always.
Is it even possible to preview this game?
Well, I can talk about the players Exeter have, the story, the trajectory they're on. There's a few interesting things going on around the club, so let's talk about that.
Go for it.
Okay, so I think the big thing hanging over this game, from an Exeter point of view, is that it could be a bit of an end of an era. Their director of football, Steve Perryman, is retiring this summer, and there's a strong chance that their manager, Paul Tisdale, will leave the club as well. It all dates back to a contract dispute the Fans Trust had with Paul Tisdale, who was on a rolling contract and apparently quite well paid, given Exeter's resources. And about 18 months ago, Exeter were right at the bottom of League Two, and the fans served notice on Paul Tisdale, which had a 2-year period, which has been activated. So as it stands, Paul Tisdale will leave the club in November if he can't agree a new contract.
Wow.
And it's looking like he won't, although it's possible that if they were to win this game and get into League One, he might fancy his chances of managing them in League One after being at the club for so long, carrying them through a really sort of long spell in League Two. So remember, when they're in League One, they were sort of a bright up-and-coming club, developing some young players, and then they sort of hit the walls really when they got relegated and had to sort of start again, develop some academy players, use the transfer market quite well, and sort of build the club back up from that.
How good a manager do you think he is?
I think it's interesting. From the sound of things, Paul Tisdale's personality grates with quite a lot of Exeter fans, where it seems like, because he's kind of sort of a softly spoken person, and he's not someone who will particularly play to the fans in what he says to the press, how he interacts with them, that he'd never really got quite a large section of the Exeter fan base on his side. And despite him being there for 12 years and going through quite a relatively successful period for Exeter, that there was sort of an ambivalence between him. How he is as a manager, I think, well, certainly he had a reputation, which he still carries, that he's someone who develops young players, plays very good football. I think since he had that notice served on him, I wonder whether a light bulb flashed in his head slightly, where it's like, well, actually, if I'm going to leave Exeter, I might need to prove that I'm someone who can get results, who with sort of another job in mind. Where I think Exeter have been slightly more pragmatic under Tisdale over the past 18 months. Last year, of course, they had Ollie Watkins, who's now one of Brentford's best players, sort of really bright, exciting forward. They also had David Weir, who went on to QPR, a really good winger at League Two level, who hasn't quite made the cut at Championship level. But certainly this season, they are a lot more direct than you'd imagine your typical Exeter side to be. They're based around the strengths of Jayden Stockley up front, who's very mobile centre forward, good finisher as well. He's sort of a very complete forward. And heading into this game, the stories I imagine in the press it's going to be about Jayden Stockley versus Mark McNulty in a goal scoring sense between the two teams. Which side's star striker is going to fire into promotion? But at the back as well, Exeter have Christy Pym in goal, who is looking more and more like the best goalkeeper at this level, and possibly someone who would be good in League One level as well. Possibly someone the Championship club might take a punt on. He was blooded into first team level at a very young age due to Exeter's sort of financial situation a couple of years ago, and looked like his career had been set back a little bit. But he's come back certainly over the past 18 months or so to look a really good keeper, very good shot stopper. He had a very good game against us at their place back in January. He's also quite good relatively for League Two level, distributing the ball with his feet. And also in defence, Exeter have Jordan Moore-Taylor, who's sort of a ball-playing defender, but someone who is first and foremost a very good, intelligent, mobile defender. And I suppose adding an extra dimension recently to Exeter's game has been the form of Ryan Harley and Hiram Boateng in midfield, both of whom scored absolute crackers against Lincoln in the second leg for them. Just two excellent long-range goals. Harley was someone who had to move to Swansea very early in his career and seemed to have lost his way quite a bit. But this season, he's come back quite strong. He's a very good, just technical player, and has clearly got a good shot on him. Hiram Boateng was sort of styled as a holding midfielder when he was coming through Crystal Palace before Exeter picked him up. And Paul Tisdale seems to have made him into a more attack-minded, forward-minded player. Very sort of elegant midfielder who can sort of glide past defenders. He'll float around all different places across the pitch, and he's someone who will try and win the game on his own.
Looking through their squad as well, so I noticed that Ruben Reid is amongst their top goal scorers despite having left Forest Green in January. That's right, isn't it? Or did I dream that? Yeah. But also their second top scorer is Piers Sweeney, who's a centre-back, isn't he?
Right back. I think he's been on penalties. I seem to recall. But yeah, he's someone who, when I've watched a couple of highlights, he's certainly sort of someone who can get up and down the pitch quite well. He's got very decent cross on him as well. And I mentioned as well, Jayden Stockley's likely strike partner for this game is going to be Robbie Simpson.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. He's been injured for the best part of a year, and he's sort of come back into the team because Paul Tisdale hasn't really found someone reliable as a strike partner for Jayden Stockley, but it looks like Simpson's just about doing the job at the moment.
How do Exeter overall compare as a proposition to Notts County?
I think they will play better football. I think, well, when we played them at the Rico Arena, I was very disappointed in their approach to the game, where I thought they were just incredibly direct for a team with a reputation of actually trying to play a bit of football. But I think at the moment, given that, along with Jayden Stockley, their attacking players in form of Ryan Harley and Hiram Boateng, that they are going to try and play through midfield a bit more. But I also think they'll be looking to bring the best out of Jayden Stockley, and that will be getting the ball forward into channels, making them have our defenders on the turn, and also making sure they get crosses into the box. So they're going to be sort of a good sort of varied kind of side in an attacking threat. They'll play a bit, but they've also got a mind of trying to score goals. They're not going to be just tippy-tappy for the sake of it.
I am not going to ask you for a prediction. I'm going to ask you to sort of wrap the preview up and decide whether you want to decide how you want to wrap things up.
So I think the mentality of both teams heading into this game is going to be interesting. For Exeter, it's kind of potentially an end of an era moment, so you don't know whether that's sort of maybe going to see them take the eye off the ball slightly, but it could also, just given that motivation of one big last performance for what the club has been building towards over the course of 12 years under Paul Tisdale. And for us, I mean, there's big pressure here to win this. I know that it was a really tough and emotionally draining 2 legs against Notts County, but if we don't win this game, then you can just imagine that the story will be, well, Coventry thought that they were the big team and they could show up and win it automatically, despite having finished 5 points behind Exeter in the table. And Exeter, I mean, they really should be the favourites going into this, but I can imagine how the stories, certainly in the press, will build over the heading into the game, where it's going to be Exeter not necessarily being the centre of attention, and us, it's all about delivering promotion. And I suppose the fear is whether there is a sense of complacency somehow, a sense that perhaps we've already done the hard part in getting to the final, and whether we can produce one last big performance. So I don't have a prediction at the moment. I'm still sort of trying to get a feel for the game, and I'd imagine at some point when I'm actually writing the preview for the blog, I might actually have a more definitive view on how I see this game playing out. I think my gut feeling, certainly heading into the playoffs, I thought that it would be really tough for us to make the final, and that in a one-off game I'd fancy our chances more. But this is going to be massive. This isn't going to be a fun trip to Wembley. This is a pressure cooker potentially, and it could be a very nerve-wracking game against two pretty even match sides.
Yeah, quite. For the last time this season, Dom, remind us where we can read your blog that you mentioned there.
It's sidewayssammy.com.
And presumably a 600-page end-of-season review.
Yeah, the review, when I've sort of come towards a more final draft over the weekend, it was looking about 90 pages. So, yeah, plenty to read at some point next week for you.
I wouldn't expect anything less. Thanks, mate.
Okay.
Thanks, Dominic. Okay, any final reminiscences, jollity?
Lee Burge. Lee Burge's save.
Yeah.
That save at that point in the game.
Talk it through in real time.
In real time, he saved a shot from John Stead. It was that goal that was in all the way.
Yeah,
it was a great shot. He kept it low, put it, and he absolutely had to make that save at that point because we were rattled within that sort of moment in time. We weren't kind of controlling the match at all like we had in the first half, and it's just out of nowhere he pulls that out of the bag. And he didn't make too many actual saves during the game. It was more about being dominant in the air, and he kind of got his hands on a lot of stuff. But when he was called upon to get down low and get just full stretch and get to the ball and save us, he bloody well did it. And stunning, absolutely stunning. I'm so pleased for him.
We also have to talk about the after-game celebrations, and sometimes, as Neil said earlier, you can be a bit sniffy about it's League Two and all that sort of jazz. When you're amongst 4,000 people who are all feeling exactly the same emotion, all singing exactly the same song, and I don't know about anyone else. All I've had in my head for the last like 4 days is the Mickey Doyle song. I took Mary swimming and brought her back, where basically it was my mission to teach her the damn song before Wembley next week, and she sort of managed to pull it off twice without me helping her. It's just like, that's what it's all about. That's what, as a kid, you sort of go back to a little bit of sort of, you remember singing or the words to the songs or being part. You're part of that. You're part of. Oh, I said it on Twitter after the game. Yeah, we all have our squibbles and squabbles and fights and arguments about who's better, who plays well, and all that sort of crap. And then you score the fourth against Notts County, and almost it doesn't matter what race or creed or any of that sort of crap you are. At that moment, you're all Coventry City fan singing your heart out about Mickey Doyle
and the players. Did you see that at the end? Them singing the same song.
And you're part of that. You are. That's when you sort of the football, become the 12th man and all that sort of stuff that goes with all this sort of, oh, you're a football fan. Yeah, that's what you get out of that. That's one of the reasons you go. And you stood there going, look, you think there are people who were born in Coventry who are passing up being part of this, because you can't be. You have to support a team like Coventry to really sort of go through those emotions with that sort of. You can be a fan of a football club and only ever watch them on TV, but until you're actually there or you're part of that sort of community, and it is sort of there aren't that many of us. We are a community, and so we have our fights. But then you go through this and you see we've sold 20,000 tickets in 3 days. You can sort of see the atmosphere around the sort of the club on the tweets, and everything's really positive, apart from the new stupid kit. But we're not going to go into that. Everything's really positive.
Do you mean the old stupid kit?
No, the old kit was fine. The new kit is stupid. I bought the kit in August because I thought that was the kit we were going to wear all season. Why change it for the most important game of the season? Anyway, as I said, we won't go into that. And then you're there, and as you say, like singing "You're One of Our Own" to Jordan Shipley, who's clearly sort of loving every second of it. Yeah. And he's like, I don't know if I'm sure it happens to other clubs, but you look around at sort of Twitter and you look around at when we have the Legends Day, and you look around, there'll probably be about 20, 30 ex-Cov players in the crowd on Saturday. I mean on Monday, because the fans and the players can sort of become quite close. And you look at some of those players on Saturday, and you know that's basically Biamu's a Cov kid for life now. We've sort of adopted him. And those are the sort of special sort of relationships you build, and just being stood there and watching all this in foil, and then just sort of being part of it. Not saying it equals up all the crap we've gone through over the years. Clearly it doesn't. But to actually just go through it, you do remember it's like, yeah, this is why I enjoy watching football. This is why I enjoy watching Cov. This is why when we score, unfortunately Joey's in front of me, he's going to be piled on.
Yeah. Because
he's the smallest and it's quite funny. But also because
whoa.
Okay, Andy's the smallest. I apologise.
Thank you.
But, you're just randomly jumping on people and you're like, this is what it's about. This is why we do it. And let's embrace that, because, I think, us three doing this, sometimes we're sort of seen as being a bit cynical. I think we've all had our issues with Mark Robins this season. We've all had our issues with some of the players. You come out at the end of it, Robins, on the most important game, got it right. He played 4-4-2. He got the players right. The system worked. He got everything, his tactics right. And we went and won. And you're like, well, at the end of the day, whatever criticisms we got of him, on the biggest night of all, he got it right.
Totally perfect right. The players were so motivated, weren't they? And you have to... Robins has got to have been central to that. I know it's a huge game anyway, but there was an interesting thing, wasn't there, with Robins beforehand, where actually it seemed like he was taking a sort of quite a laissez-faire approach to things, and that his talking beforehand I thought was almost a bit worrying. He was kind of, what will be, but the way that the players came out was like they'd been set on fire. And that you struggled to think. I think it would be totally unfair for us to sit here previously, and I think this is what it all boils down to with us, and why I think we get a bit annoyed if we get accused of being cynical or miserable or whatever. In the same sense as we've sat here early in the season and said, I worry that he's not got a plan or blah, 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 blah. Credit where it's due. He literally couldn't have got it better that night, could he? And you could see his stamp on different things that you go, fair fair play to you. That is incredible work.
And it's like, all you can do is you can compare it to the opposition. And on the day, all those other things other than football, we did better than Notts County. Our attitude was better. Our performance levels were better. The desire from Liam Kelly to create that second goal, you don't do that if you're not particularly arsed. You don't run 60 yards and then do something as unselfish as pull the ball back for a teammate if you're not completely engaged in it. And you could see that there was something about that team on that day. Now, the extra game's going to be really interesting. It's just a completely different thing, so let's not get overly confident too early. But as I think a couple of people on Twitter go, is that the best game you've ever been to and best feeling? It's up there. I mean, I'm not going to deny there's still sort of, when we beat Man United 3-2 at Highfield Road, when we went to Liverpool and won 3-1 in the Cup or 3-0 in the Cup, when we beat Villa at Villa Park for the first time, when we beat them 4-1, there have been other times as good, but it's definitely up there.
Maybe if you're as old as you.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, that goes into the age thing, doesn't it? Because, I still remember us. I was 18 when we beat Villa 1-0, or 19 when we beat them 1-0 on Valentine's Day. So it's just,
you remember
and
Chloe Borton's last goals for
also
the club.
Personal motivation as well, isn't it? Why we're all coming to football matches and what we're in it for. So, like you say, those matches back then meant a lot to you, maybe because of kind of why you were going to the football and kind of what you were looking for from the team. And you'd like to think that this match the other night, for many people, even if they've been watching us for 40 years, could potentially still be their most favourite moment. And I know it's just happened, so that's going to sway a lot of it. But I think I genuinely can say that out of all of the moments is the one for me so far, for what it's kind of meant and felt to me. Because I like cups. Cups are fine. Cups are, you never really expect to win a cup. And actually, you don't head into a season thinking, right, I want to win the cup this year, or I want to win this trophy this year. So when it happens, or when it did happen with the FA Cup and Checker Trade, it was a bonus and it was great. And we did that pod last year and it was fantastic. There's something about the league, something about achieving in the league, which we've just never felt. And I've never known what that feels like. And for it's not happened yet, but to get to that point where we've actually got to the last step of the league and we're one of those teams that, ready for promotion, it's just, that's what makes it so good for me, because I'm all about the league and that personal motivation. So that's why the other night was such a big one for me, because of what it means. For the first time in my mind ever, we're on the brink of achieving something in a league season. So that's consistency throughout the whole thing, which is just, it's unknown for me. It's ridiculous.
Well, it is unknown for you because this is the highest we've finished since about 10 years before you were born.
Yeah, it's unknown for most of it.
Yeah, and we've only won. I was sort of talking with Jim Brown was on. We've only won one promotion, 5-6 times in our entire history. So unless you were alive before 1967, which I'm pretty sure you weren't, we just haven't experienced this. But I agree. I think the thing is, it's all, as you say, it's all about context and sort of what you're going through at that moment in time. As for me, sort of Friday's up there. It's up there amongst other things. But again, to some extent, if that was the best experience I've had at a club game in my 30 odd years, I don't think I'd still be doing it, because you can't wait that long, can you? So, but yeah, I mean, it was just the way the players were just. There was a tight. Another question I know has been on Twitter is about about the tightness of the group. They do look like a group of friends as much as anything, and sometimes that can drag you forward, can't it? Sometimes you're doing it for your friends as much as anyone else. I think we all like to think they do it for the fans, but I think that's only a minor thing. I think sometimes it's a lot easier to perform at your best if you're got good friends who are doing it with you.
Yeah, it's just such a likeable. It's becoming more and more of those players are just very, very likeable, aren't they? Are we done-ish?
Any questions?
We've got some questions, yeah. I think I was going to do or say something, but I can't remember now. Let's have a look. Questions. This is not me filling, just to be on the safe side. Rob Jones, I think we've talked about. If not too late for the pod, can I ask you whether you've enjoyed a big game more than last Friday? I feel very much like that has been covered and covered. And he says, and bigging up the fantasy football league knee competition would be good. Somebody won. I think, I don't know who. I haven't checked. I actually don't take fantasy football league very seriously, so that's fine.
I want to say I gave up. I probably shouldn't have, but I didn't do anything with my team in the last month, and I don't know why.
You were doing very well.
I was in the top 5.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
I know it's very boring, but I have a big league every year that I'm in where there's money on it, and literally the only time where I was top of it was the last day, and the guy in I'd got the same amount of points as the guy in second, but I'd made less transfers. Delish. Then from friend of the show, Matt, whose name on Twitter I always think is Matt Skiing, but I don't think it is. Do you think Kevin Nolan has spoken a word to his family since Saturday?
Only in a very sort of, don't talk to your dad. Why? What's wrong with dad? We didn't play long ball. Okay, dad.
he's stood in his shed doing his chicken dance. Or his
fried
chicken dance as it is now. Yeah, possibly. Him and Sam Allardyce, they're probably sat drinking a pint of wine right now talking about how the universe is wronged them. Yeah, I remember when football used to be good, not like now. Sorry, lads.
If only I'd have signed you for Everton, I wouldn't be out of a job. But I've retired, Sam. Kevin, you could have still done a job for me.
No questions, just a statement. This is from Tom Elves. I love Michael Doyle. I think we can all get on board with that.
Correct.
Lots of love coming in for somebody that I'm not sure that we've talked about very much, but that has certainly rivaling Tom Davis for best Twitter personality just recently is Mark McNulty's dad.
Jimmy Groover.
Jimmy McNulty.
It was his birthday today, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Happy birthday to Mark McNulty's dad. Thanks for your son. Is good. Just seems like a top bloke.
I love it when people who aren't connected to the club become connected to the club and like just to become sort of really involved and follow it. And like you see all the family members. And another one, blast from the past, he's still involved with the club coming back this weekend. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Who was that? Sorry,
Kieran Crowley.
Oh yeah, coming back hard. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, get a bit of success. Look who comes crawling back.
I'm not saying anything, Kieran, but you've been gone 2 years, and this is our second trip to Wembley.
Yeah, quite. And not a Vladimir Gajev in sight. Love to you, Kieran, wherever you are. Yeah, I think that's probably about it.
I mean, my final comment on it all is just how much fun it is, basically. As I said, I spent like the last day teaching my daughter a song which doesn't have any swear words in, which is quite nice, leading into Wembley. So just go and really enjoy it on Monday, because it's, as just discussed, unless you're in your 50s, you've never seen a season like this. So just go and enjoy it, and don't be a dickhead to Exeter fans. Like, they're just going to try and enjoy it as well. They're not. Exactly. I haven't seen them riling anyone or getting grumpy like the Notts County fans were. I think they are a small club. They're not going to have as many fans as us, but let's make it a nice environment for everyone, because it should be a good day out.
What a beautiful place to leave it. Neil, any final thoughts, or should we just let's wrap it up there, shall we?
Let's wrap it up there. Yeah, that was a lovely sentiment.
Neil, thank you.
Thank you, Joey,
and thank you, Paul.
Cheers, mate.
See you all at Wembley. Bye.